Robert Plank Show, episode 295. Discover your content personality, thought leadership, branding, and content strategy with Shannon Hernandez. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the show. Our guest today is Shannon Hernandez, and Shannon is the creator of the Content Personality Wheel, and she's the founder of the Content Strategy Academy. Shannon's mission is to help business owners become thought leaders through the use of content branding so they can positively impact more people. And Shannon continues to inspire others as a content branding strategist, a kick-ass coach, and motivational speaker. So Shannon, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm super glad that you're here. And so Content Personality Wheel, Content Strategy Academy. Can you kind of tell us who you are and what you do, what makes you stand out?
Sure. So, my name is Shannon Hernandez, as you said, and I help people brand themselves with content. So, if you're looking to create a wait list for your services, sell out your products, get your name on a book or on a stage, that's really what I'm about, is helping you position all of your content so that you are known for something.
Awesome.
That's how you'd make it, right? Like you're known for something. You don't just keep dabbling in all these little pieces, but that when somebody says, wow, I need help with content, the first name that pops up is call Shannon. That's what I do for other people.
To be the go-to person. Awesome. And I think that's kind of what we all want. And so as far as like this whole like content marketing thing, like I've heard different things about it, and I've heard people say like, you need to pump out all this stuff or outsource all this stuff to a team. And so, I mean, like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, what should people be doing content-wise to kind of get their name out there and become that kind of go-to person like you talked about?
Yeah, well, the first thing is they need to take the content personality quiz, which you alluded to here in the intro. And that is a quiz. It's a free tool over on my website, and it's been changing the way entrepreneurs and small businesses have been creating content for their brands. And what it does is it first gives you permission to stop doing all the stuff that you hate doing. So if you hate blogging, you have permission to stop. If you hate creating video or podcasts or whatever it is that you're just like trudging through the content, ditches, we're going to ditch all that. That's the first thing. So it's very empowering, and it really shows you just with 20 simple questions where your personality lies in terms of content. And it has been amazing, not only for my brand, but just changing people's lives across the world over the past year since I introduced it.
Awesome. And just so that everyone can kind of follow along as we're talking, where can people go to fill out that quiz?
Yeah, they can go to www.m as in Mary, shannonhernandez.com, and it's right there on the homepage. It says, what's your content personality?
Awesome. And I filled in that quiz about, I don't know, like 20 or 30 minutes before we were talking here, and I noticed that my results were kind of like evenly spread out. Like video, audio, and visual was about high 20s, and then written and live were about like low 30s or so. So, I mean, what does that tell me about me? Does that mean I should, if it's closely evened out, should I still do more of like the written and the live and less video, audio, and visual, or does that mean I should keep doing all of them, or like what does that sort of test result mean?
Oh, I'm so glad you took it. That's amazing. The first thing is that we spread ourselves so thin, right? And you can probably attest to this. It's so easy to get caught up in the trap of, oh, I have to do this. And then the next person says, I need you to do this. And so you're just kind of bouncing around. You don't really get any good traction that way. But what you should do, Robert, is how I coach people is you should stay in the top two. So if you can go back and you can kind of see what were the top two, that's really where the magic lies in your content marketing. And does it mean you can never blog again? No. Does it mean that you can't ever put out a visual infographic? No, but stay in the top two because that's really where the magic happens in your brand.
Awesome. So the top two for me were the written and the live, and I guess that sort of makes sense because like I sort of see things as like if like we're recording our podcast here. I mean, like you kind of can attest to. We just talked on the phone. And I said we're starting because I just like to knock it out. And same deal with like if I'm posting like a quick video on YouTube. Like if I see a certain problem being done because I do a lot of like WordPress and membership site stuff. So if I see someone asking about a certain plugin in WordPress or a certain thing with membership sites, I'll record a quick video. But for me, it's like pretty one and done. I'll just record it. I'll put it on there as opposed to like something written or as opposed to like a book where I might go back and spend more time on that and edit more of that.
Exactly. And the beauty of the quiz is that the live in person shows up a lot of places. So I've transitioned my business to mainly doing virtual workshops across the world via Zoom, right? It's a video platform and I'm live and it's like where the magic, it's like my content superpower is there when people are with me live. And you can probably feel that here, right, in the podcast. So your live in person shows up in a lot of places. And so I really teach people how to blend those two together. How can we make live in video or live in audio or live in written? Whatever that looks like for you, how can we do that so that you are always showing up as your best, most authentic, real self in your content? Because as you and I know, that's when you sell stuff.
Awesome. Good to know. And I like the idea of sort of like blending some of those if it makes more sense. And so like in your experience when people fill these sort of things out, do most people, is there like a tend to be like a set of like common answers? Like do a lot of people gravitate towards like the video or the written, or like what's sort of the typical test results like for this kind of thing?
Yeah, so it really depends on the person. I think that's the beauty of it. But this tool has been out for just about a year, and I'd say the majority of people who come to me and come to my Facebook group and my brand to work with me in whatever way that means to them, they are video, live, and audio. Those are like the top three. And it's probably because that's how I market, right? So there's this thing we talk about in the world of marketing. I call it, a lot of people say attraction marketing, which is true. Like if I do video and I do live speaking and I do live Zoom interviews and podcasts and what have you, I'm going to attract people who like that. But the other side of that, which I don't hear a lot of people talking about, is the repulsion piece. I'm also going to repel people who don't necessarily like the live video, audio, whatever that blend is. And they're both really important, right? They're really important in marketing, is that you're attracting and the people who aren't meant for you are going to somebody else. And that's really the crux of getting aligned with your content and your personality.
Awesome. Well, this is starting to make a lot of sense to me. So it sounds like we all kind of have a certain kind of like you said like a content personality. So certain types of content are best suited for us. So it's like we ourselves as the content creators have a certain sort of way of doing things that we enjoy, that we're good at, and then our audience, they themselves also have a certain sort of preference. So if we can figure out what people want, what we want, then it sounds like if video's better or if live stuff's better or whatever, if we can like narrow that down, then we can attract more people, I guess. Is that on the right track?
Yeah, it is. And I want to ask you a question. I'm going to kind of ask you a question if I can.
Yeah.
What isn't it refreshing that you don't have nothing's broken, you don't have to learn anything new technically, and you don't have to go fix a whole bunch of stuff. You can just show up and be yourself in your brand.
That sounds awesome.
It's amazing, right? And it's so much of what is not being taught in the content world. If you look around, it's like, you have to do video. Facebook Live gets 178% more engaged. No, you don't. You don't have to do video, and you don't have to do anything you don't want to do in your business. And I think that's the empowering piece of this tool, is it already takes the strengths of what you're good at, and we're just going to reveal those. And then I'm going to show you how to put that kind of content out into the world that feels good to you.
Awesome. And then so if someone like takes this quiz and they see that they score like really highly in one of these areas, and that's an area where maybe they don't do it as much as they should, or maybe it's a little bit outside of their comfort zone, I imagine it's kind of a nice push for someone to maybe do more of that live speaking, or if video is their thing, then they should be doing more of that. Is that about right?
Yeah, it is. And so it opens a lot of people's eyes. And really, I'd say it's about probably 75% of the people who take the quiz and they get their results and they're like, oh my God, I never considered video, or I never considered speaking. But as soon as they make that switch, even Robert, if the video is really bad the first few times, like we've all been there, right? Like the first few podcasts are bad, the first few video, it doesn't matter, because it's so much better and so much more joyful than what they were doing in the first place, that they're already seeing instant results.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And so if someone figures out, okay, well, they should be doing video, or they should be doing live stuff, sort of what are the next steps? Is the next step like figuring out like what problems to solve, or what kind of content to put out there, or should they just jump in? I mean, once someone has these test results, what should someone do next?
Yeah, so we've just developed a series of 5 free trainings, one for each personality. So You'll get your quiz results, and then you'll get a link where you can go watch like a little 3 to 5 minute video on your personality, and what it means and ways to start applying it in your brand. And that's been a lot of fun. It's helped people take that next step, right? Because it's not going to do anyone any good if they just have this information and don't know what to do with it. So I'm really glad you asked that. And in those videos, it kind of, teaches you just short, like if audio is this, why don't you try these few things? Or if video is this, here's a few ideas that you can try. And the next step after that, honestly, is it leads to a course, a $97 course called the Content Personality Course, where we dive deep into what you want to be known for in your brand, how to align those themes and topics with your personality, and how to start producing content and putting it out into the world.
Awesome. So just to kind of give us like a little bit of a taste, so like what kind of ideas do you suggest to people, and I mean, what kind of themes and sort of things should people be pursuing?
Sure. So, do you mean ideas as far as the personality ideas, the content personality ideas?
Yeah, I mean, like let's say that someone like took the quiz and they got a lot of stuff saying that they should be doing live stuff. So then, like, what kinds of things does your sequence and does your course then say they should be doing as far as live content?
Good. So there's 27 types of live content. One of them is speaking from a stage. One of them is using Zoom. If video is kind of your secondary, that seems to work for people. So anyway, for every personality, there's 20 to 30, or written has 45. So there's 20 to 35 different ways to use it. One of the biggest ones I always get asked is video, and people that score on it high and never considered video, it's because they only see video as like their face. We call these face videos, but there's 30 other types of video outside of the face video. So we go through things like, putting your content on maybe a PowerPoint with your audio on top of it. That's a video. Building a whiteboard video. There's so many ways to use video in your brand that if you don't want your face out in the world, or you're just not comfortable with, turning that camera on and talking to it, there's 30 other ways to do that. So that's the encouraging piece about when you get surprising results. Don't freak out. There's help around the corner. And then to answer your second question, I really answer your question with a question, and maybe we'll test it on you today, is, Robert, what do you want to be known for? Like if I said, man, I need blah, blah, blah. Like if someone said to me, I need content, people think, oh, let me send them to Shannon. So what do you want to be known for? What do I send people to you for?
Membership sites.
All right. So we would do a brainstorm. This actually happens in the course. We do something called a content personality brainstorm all around membership sites. And you come up with 36 to 52 topic ideas so that you're set for the whole next year. And we do like a brain dump, I call it, or a brainstorm. And they're a lot of fun. And so we would just look at you and say, okay, what are people not talking about in the world of membership sites? What can we build your expertise on? How can we make you the go-to person? And we really just brainstorm those out. And then you have your content, personality, ideas for that personality, and the topics. And you are like good to go. Like you're unstoppable at that point. There's no reason you can't put out content.
And this sounds pretty cool. And so you figure out your personality, you figure out what you want to be known for, and then make this list of what people aren't talking about as far as about that topic. So if I was to like brainstorm things about membership sites, how would I know if I wasn't coming up with something like sort of off the wall? Because my initial thought is, if I'm thinking of all these things that people aren't talking about, how can I be sure that this is what people actually want to know about as far as membership sites?
Ah, well, this is where the secret marketing power lies. It goes back to that thing about attraction and repulsion. So, do you have an idea? Because I'm not too much into membership sites, but what's something people aren't really talking about that you think they should be talking about?
I mean, I think that a lot of people, they don't talk about like single payment membership sites where, like membership sites, people always think about like a monthly thing with like it's a lot of work and they have to keep members in. And I think a lot of people don't talk about just like a $10 one time, $100 one time access to, but it's in a membership site.
Okay, good. So we could talk about, we're going to brainstorm here.
Awesome.
What are the benefits of a single payment membership site? That would be great, right? I have a membership site too. So The Content Strategy Academy is a membership. They can either pay one time for the year or they can pay monthly, right? So they each have their own unique kind of issues, as you've said. What are the drawbacks of a single payment membership site? Why should we be thinking single membership payment sites instead of multiple payment membership sites? All right, because what I want to do, Robert, is I want to position you for people to be thinking of new ways to think about membership sites. That is positioning with your content in the end.
Okay, cool. So we list like those benefits and those drawbacks and why that versus the alternative. And so if we're like coming up with this list of things like that, like is each of these ideas like a separate piece of
Yes,
content, a separate video?
yes.
Okay.
You know why? Because people get overwhelmed with too much information. One of the things we love to do, those of us that love content, we love our business, is we love to tell it all, right? But and there's nothing wrong. I mean, I'm not saying if you told all of that in one, but people will come back to the next one and they'll come back to the next one. It's repetition, right? And then they'll be like, whoa, this Robert guy really knows what the hell he's talking about. Like, let's go see what he has next time. And so you don't want to overwhelm people with the content. And I know the content world is all about these long form 7,000 word blog posts right now. It's a little crazy. A lot of people are not going to read those things. They're not going to watch a 30-minute video. So I think not even bite size, that's tiny, but somewhere in the middle is best. I think we're serving our people best that way. And they want to see what's Robert have to say next time about membership sites. They're going to keep coming back.
Awesome. So first of all, good news because you don't have to write all this, this pages and pages worth of stuff. And then so, I mean, do you have any sort of like suggestions or guidelines on like what kind of length, or does it matter, or like how often, or does that matter either?
Well, there's lots of different theories on this. I generally teach when people are trying to get themselves established, right? One really good piece of content a week for 3 months. So that's just consistency. That's building consistency. And sometimes when people are completely aligned with their personality and their content, that's way easy for them. It's when they're trying to sit there and struggle for hours and days on a blog post, and then they take the quiz and they're like, oh, no wonder I'm video or I'm audio. They switch, then it becomes much easier. So minimum once a week for 12 weeks. If you're just kind of establishing yourself. I'm at the point now, I have 400 and some different types of posts over on my blog. I'm maybe putting out twice a month at this point because I've established myself. People come there and they can kind of see, click around. It takes them a long time to get through 400 things. So
Right.
they have plenty to do. So that was the first part of your question. And I forgot the second part. Do you remember what the second part was? Frequency and when to put it out. Oh, how long?
How long? Yeah.
Well, I just believe in quality over quantity in all things. If you can say it in 300 words or a 3-minute video, why go to 7,000 words or a 10-minute video? Like, let's honor people's time and their space, and let's give them what they need right away. So I err on more quality over quantity in everything I do in business and life. And I really teach that in the content. So guess what? The other thing is you get to get rid of all those bogus formulas people tell you all the time because they're not necessarily true at all.
Awesome. Cool. Good to know. And it just seems like the more that you're explaining this, it seems like if people have sort of been not having fun putting out content, it might just be because they're the wrong personality for it. And it sounds like maybe if they've been, trying to be a writer and they're not a writer, or they've been trying to do a video and they're not a video person, then it might have been just a matter of, oh, well, they're an audio person, they're a live person, so this quiz can just sort of set them straight. That way, they're not just kind of, pushing against a brick wall and trying to make something work that's not going to work.
Exactly right. And I think that's where the transformation happens because, as you know, when you're having fun in your business and fun in life, it's fun to keep going, and it's inspiring and you're getting results. And lots of people have been misaligned and now they're aligned and they're like, wow, doing a video isn't nearly what, I chalked it up to be, especially when it was taking me a week to write a blog post because it just wasn't their personality.
Awesome, makes a lot of sense. And then so, if someone is sort of putting out a lot of this content at first to get established, and then knowing they can kind of take it easy later on. Have you come across people who maybe they kind of get burned out on the content stuff? Because I know that at least for me, like I'll kind of go through ups and downs where like I'll be really excited about making some content and I'll like get a bunch of stuff scheduled, and then just knowing that later on I'll be kind of not as excited about it. And then like luckily, usually like as soon as the excitement comes back, that's kind of when the backlog of scheduled posts runs out. So people can't really tell that I kind of go through these ups and downs about like feeling like blogging and not. So do you have any kind of like advice along those lines for people to not get burned out with this content marketing and being consistent, but also still having fun?
Sure. I think, and then I'll tell you a hack, one of my
Awesome.
hacks. So first, it's just be in alignment. I think it's really hard to get burnt out if you're in alignment with who you are and you're creating content and you're inspired by it. So I would say make sure you're creating the type of content that's right for you, and pace yourself. The content marketing is a long-term strategy, and I didn't get 400 blog posts. I've been in business 4 years, so it took me that long to get that many. And here's my hack. I couldn't, just because of my explosive brand growth in the past 6 months, particularly, I kept looking at my blog and I'm like, oh man, like this says December was the last post. And I was beating myself up. It was like the end of February, beginning of March. And so I emailed my virtual assistant. I said, go take the dates off all my posts. Nobody has to know when I have posted last and when I haven't.
Awesome.
So that's my little hack. And I felt so much better about it. And I'm putting out, one or two now a month. But if you want to be known for something, you have to have content, whatever what that is for you, whether it's a podcast or a video or, you're speaking at live events across the world. You've got to have the content to support your ideas. And we call this thought leader, right? Becoming a thought leader and showing your thought leadership. So in the beginning, it's consistency and persistence and just being committed to the process. After that, you get to relax a while and you can take the date off your blog.
Awesome. That's a pretty good hack there, and I imagine that could be a thing where if we're posting a lot, we can put the dates back on, and if we have sort of a slow time, we can take it back off. And there's no rule on the internet that says that we can't do that. And so, I mean, we talked about a lot of cool stuff so far today. I mean, people out there they need to be known. Obscurity sucks. They need to be known for one thing in particular, and they need to put out this content in a way that matches with their personality and matches with the personality that people have, so people can sort of find these problems and schedule stuff out. And so when you see people sort of trying to make a name for themselves and trying to get the snowball effect happening with the content marketing, are you seeing a number one universal mistake with this content marketing stuff?
I I think it's forcing themselves to do things they're not really happy doing. And after call after call after call of strangers calling me and saying, "Can you please help me? My coach is forcing me to do video, or so and so is forcing me to do audio." I was like, enough is enough. I'm creating this tool so that people aren't calling me crying on the phone, because that wasn't who they were. So don't be who you're not. People will see through that, whether it's your message, your marketing, or the content you're putting out into the world.
Awesome, and I think that's really good marketing advice in general and life advice in general, because we can kind of, if we're doing all these activities and either showing up on video or teaching about something or whatever, and it's not true to who we are, like maybe we can force it for a few weeks, but then eventually it seems to catch up, and then we just kind of hit a wall and can't really make any progress in there. So it makes a lot of sense to kind of be true to your personality and the way you think and all that cool stuff. And so you mentioned the quiz, and you mentioned some of these courses, and I just want to make sure that everyone who listened to our talk today knows where to find you and all your cool stuff and all your cool stuff you have for sale. So can you tell us about these different websites and where people should go to go and find out about them?
Sure. So you can take the quiz at www.m as in Mary, shannonhernandez.com. The quiz is right there front and center. And if you want to take it a step further, you can check out contentstrategyacademy.com, where I'm helping people build thought leader brands and really getting aligned with their marketing, their messaging, and their branding through the lens of content.
Awesome. So everyone should go right now to both of those sites, mshannonhernandez.com to take the quiz, and then contentstrategyacademy.com. And all you people listening, I mean, if you want to be forgotten, if you want to work too hard and all that, then by all means don't do this. But if you want to become a thought leader, if you want to have people come to you, and if you said at the beginning here, Shannon, if you want to have like all the appointments booked and you want to have the waiting list and you want to have all this stuff, you need to do content marketing, but it only makes sense if it matches your personality and if you're doing the right thing. So make sure to go to contentstrategyacademy.com for that course and mshannonhernandez.com for that quiz. So thanks so much, Shannon, for stopping by and teaching us about content marketing and kind of giving us a new way of looking at things where maybe, if our coach is telling us to do video and we don't want to do it, maybe there's a reason for that, and so it could just be our personality. So thanks for stopping by and sharing what you had to share with us today.
Okay, thanks, Robert, for having me.
Do you run your online business using WordPress? Did you know that the #1 reason why people's WordPress sites get hacked is because of outdated plugins, outdated WordPress, or just flat out not knowing what they have out there? I mean, how many times have you created a test site and just let it sit there? You're leaving yourself at risk. Besides that, you're wasting a ton of time every single time WordPress updates or your plugins update. There's a better way. Check out Website Remote, where you can manage all of your WordPress sites from one simple-to-use dashboard. I'm talking about comparing what's on each site, comparing what versions are out there, and, most importantly, choosing what you want to update when you want to update it with one single click. This is the way that you need to be managing all of your WordPress sites. And we have a special just for you for being a listener of the Lance Tomashiro Show. Head on over to websiteremote.com/LTS. That's websiteremote.com/LTS to get your 99-cent trial started today. You're never going to look at managing your WordPress sites the same way again.